to be Lindsay's personal reading, and this is a spiritual compass reading, but it has a career focus because Lindsay just put in her notice at a toxic job, so she's going to be leaving a work environment to go somewhere else. I don't think she knows where she's going yet, so we're going to try to figure out what we can figure out about what we can figure out. But my main goals are to figure out why the past job wasn't a good fit. What does Lindsay really want from her career? What are her next best steps? What might she have to sacrifice or contribute? What will she gain and how will she grow? And then some closing guidance and affirmations to continue on, continuing on. So yeah, let's just cleanse the space. I did a reading earlier today that took a lot of energy out of me. And I kind of feel like this one might be another one of those, just because the thumbnail that I channeled for this like a couple of days before it was scheduled is like Naruto. He's like sitting and he's like meditating, kind of like gaining some chi or whatever. So it kind of feels like honestly shadow work, and that feels relevant to the energy of my life recently. Coming out of a recent Aries full moon, which is in my 8th house. 8th house also being the house that represents like how you receive money. I've also shifted from posting primarily on TikTok to posting primarily on YouTube. For the ways that I can see how TikTok may not serve my long-term ambitions. So I'm already kind of picking up on some of the answer to why this past job wasn't a good fit. I'm not sure that like you are working in an industry that will suit your long-term ambitions, or like it's something about it undercutting your true worth or value. Like in the past, before I became an entrepreneur, my first job was I worked at a gas station for 2 years. I worked at Quick Trip. um which actually was a pretty like good job for a 16-year-old. Then I worked at a Goodwill, and then I worked at a Target, and then I worked at a daycare, and now I'm here. So there were a lot of like jobs in between that I don't always completely understand why I had to be there, other than like getting like customer service skills and things like that, like just being in the world. But I don't know. I wonder if you have this feeling of like having wasted time being in a space, but not really knowing where else to be. I think that your guides are wanting to come in to kind of let you know like there was no time wasted, because even this reading, I'm coming to this like later than the time it was actually scheduled for. So there's something about delays. I did a deal with the devil reading earlier. You might want to check out the last pile, which is purpose, if you are at all interested. But I was talking about how part of that pile's purpose is to like be the weapon in the hand of some kind of divine force. And so that's kind of like specified very unique paths. So if you're not already feeling like you've made choices that reflect your uniqueness, that could be part of what you are going to be like called to sacrifice. Like your attachment to making sense to other people, your actions and choices being like positively, like people readily accepting them or readily accepting you and your authentic truth. Like be willing to accept like the scarier things of life at this time, because there's a lot of like beauty in how you're learning how to react to uncertainty, and how the confidence that you're gaining in your own ability to make quick like on the fly maneuvers. And that's like in order for you to be the weapon, you kind of have to submit your vessel, which is something that's really integral to me in my job position. Like I am not in control of this process. I'm not really even fully in control of when I sit down and do these readings. I'm not fully in control of like what is being said and like where we're going, and like like this is all me in submission to the energies that I work with. So my cat just sneezed. Bless you, child. But Also, you may need to work on gaining a stronger level of submission, which is part of the reason why this thumbnail is that meditation energy, because whatever clarity you need, I'm not sure that like anybody can give you like the word for word, bar for bar like key here. But I think for right now, what's really important is the submission to the change. The grooming or maintenance. Like, you know, like originally these are used to like just cut grass. So there's something about getting rid of what no longer needs to be there, what's overgrown, what you've grown out of, so that you can be this new, fresher, better maintained, well oiled kind of thing, and be like more equipped for your purpose. Okay, so why wasn't the past job, a good fit? Using the bone dead because Capricorn energy has been really major. Which represents the devil in the tarot deck, which represents karmic relationships where you feel bound or where you're sacrificing in order to gain something in the material world. So there were definitely times, like towards the end of my 2 years at Quick Trip, the gas station, where I was getting really tired of like working at Quick Trip, the gas station. Where like I felt like to do my job started to feel like a drain to myself. Like at first it was something that I was super motivated to do because I had the kind of brain where like I like to learn how to do things really well, and then once I accomplish doing things really well, like it stops being as fun. Like once I've already like recognized myself as the best and understand like my lack of competition in being the best, it stops being as fun. Four of Wands, I feel like you could be similar, where you're looking for stimulation, like you're looking for that next like hit, kind of. So you might not really like jobs where you're doing the same thing ritualistically over and over and over again. And if you are, like for me, like tarot, like it's the same exact like formula, but it's still somehow like interacted and like varied to some extent. Like there's a level of like fun or problem solving for me mentally when I do this that keeps me like engaged in the process. I feel like you need to be somewhere where you're mentally or like fully engaged in what you're doing, and like you actually gain something from your participation in your function, like personally, and not just like an organization that you belong to. And if you're not like, well, you are leaving. You told me you put in your notice. I was gonna say if you couldn't leave because you were like stuck, then there's like the ability to do something for yourself, like individually. I don't know if that's like a side hustle, side hobby or something, or yeah, because I actually had started my account before it was the only thing I did. So I ran it on the side while I worked at the daycare. So I don't know what your next job is. I'm trying not to focus too much on that right now. I'm trying to focus on the question of why that one wasn't a good fit. And that energy came in with sirens. It came in with anxiety. So I feel like your energy wants to know what's next, what's next, what's next, what's next, because you're in the in-between and you don't know like what's on the other side of where you are right now. But I think there's a value to you not knowing and you not like having a clear path right now. I think you'll get the clear path when you've done the deep diving about what's the next direction for you. Because otherwise, you're just going to end up manifesting another situation based in like lack, which would be just like another trap. Because as long as you're making choices out of fear, you're not like really opening up your mind to like what else is out there. So for me, like this situation kind of reminds me of when I decided to not continue to go to college after high school, because I basically had to like tell myself, the world, and my family, like, hey, I believe in my ability to just like basically forge and like fight my way to success. And I think that I can do this, even though I have no proof. And I just had to like try and do it, not really knowing where my feet were like falling. Like I was just like basically taking shots in the dark based in blind faith. And even in the beginning of my career as a psychic, before I had as much validation and what I do, I had to operate out of a lot of blind faith. Like I remember the first ever tarot readings I did for personal clients were like on the phone. So I would call my clients, and before I called them, I would like pray for like 5 minutes, like, please God, don't let me like not know what I'm talking about and embarrass myself in front of these people. And it used to be something that I was like really like nervous about until I really like worked that muscle and got to the point where I was like, you know, I don't have to worry about this anymore. Like I've proven this enough to myself and to other people that I no longer need to even like begin this pursuit with that anxiety. So I think the universe is trying to work that muscle within you by like decomposing you, by stripping you of that certainty, to put you in this phase where you have this sense of happiness even despite certainty. Because that seems to be the major key to you breaking away from whatever material world domination you're experiencing. Because that thing depends on the fear of you, like your fear of not having it, like as the security that you would need to live. Like this thing has built you up to a place where you depend on it, and then it in that way it kind of like it molds your mind to think that you can't be without it, or just like makes that reality seem unfamiliar. So you need to like break free from the control of like whatever godfather you've submitted to in the past. So that you can like make more authentic choices to yourself. Like when I told my parents I didn't want to go to college, they were like, so what are you gonna do? And I was like, well, you know, I think I could like make a brand out of just being myself. Like I think I want to be the kind of person where like everything I do is profitable because it's me doing it. Like I think I'm, you know, I think I have value basically. Like I think I as a person am valuable enough that the things that I do will then become valuable. And that was like, you know, a pretty bold thing for like an 18-year-old to decide. Because in our society, you know, that's not what we're like trained to think like. We're trained to think like, even in school, like you do the little career picking test and you're like, okay, which faction would you be best sorted in? And then you start thinking about how much money it costs to live and stuff like that. And then you're all like, okay, well, I need to just make sure I have it. So what am I willing to sacrifice in order to make sure I have it? Control over myself. So I will then submit to whatever you tell me is the best way to make sure that I won't die. And that's like fear, 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 fear. It constantly like puts you in this energy of stress. And that's what you're being divinely like developed into releasing, so that you can have these more like truly happy, truly successful, intrinsically valuable, stable, long-term manifestations. This feels like I honestly feel like whatever you're creating from yourself, like from your position of authority in whatever way, individualistically, that also unites you with other people who feel the same way or see life the same way or want the same thing. Because it could be that in some way your career success or some branch off of it aligns you with a person of significance for you, or people of significance for you. Or maybe you should just be open to networking opportunities beyond your usual horizons. Like I mentioned, the deal with the devil, that might have been like something that, you know, dark side of the moon for you. Could be opposed to making certain like transactions. I mean, it's understandable. I feel like a lot of like I just got a Matrix poster from the gas station. Um Breaking through some of these barriers are definitely like mind fucks, right? But like I definitely feel like if you're resonating with what I'm saying thus far, you're meant to break through these barriers, like break through whatever this fourth wall is, because a lot of the opportunities that I think you most want, those like real deep inner child enriching experiences where you start to feel like the version of yourself that you always kind of knew that you were, the more almost like cartoony or animated version of yourself. Those are possible, but you have to break through a wall to get to them. So, I mean, your ability to manifest these like higher, 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 higher timelines, the ones where you're like, you know, Top Gun, you have to break through a wall. You have to make a deal. You have to kind of like lock in to a certain extent, to a point of no return, kind of like when Morpheus is like red pill, blue pill. There could be some like choices you have to take here. And when you lose this job, it makes space for something else, like the aftermath here, this void then comes in. And honestly, I do feel like it could be entrepreneurship for you. Kind of seems like it. Yeah, like this this void that opens up, a lot of energy is available then to come through it. Like this is all nothing but back to back to back to back major arcana. So extreme, extreme, extreme character development, extreme, extreme, extreme healing. But what's also necessary is all this cardinal energy to back up your momentum. So you have to keep showing up for the direction you want to head in. But as long as you are showing up, like your trajectory is kind of set. So for as long as you believe in your ability to get to where you want to go, you definitely can get there. But that momentum like depends on your willingness to like continue to reach out for it. Like you have to meet in the middle here. And it kind of feels like in past energy, you've been more passive about what your potential actually is and how you can like make it tangible or put it into use. Like an example of this for me, earlier in the year, I bought a course to learn how to code. Because I've always, like, since I was a kid, I've always kind of known seen myself as having, like, a hacker self. Like, because I always thought the hacker characters in like, Watch Dogs and stuff like that were super cool. And I just kind of thought that'd be badass and open up a lot of badass opportunities for me to be badass and be known as badass in the community. So I bought it, but then like I didn't really like, stick to it the way that I might have hoped that I would. Because honestly at the time, it really wasn't probably the best time. Like I already had other things going on that made that feel like something that was overwhelming. But I do feel like there could be like opportunities because of what you're losing in terms of like material world focus driven obligation. It opens you up to this like more intuitive approach to like how you open life, which kind of like frees you up, but it is like not as tangible for sure. Like there's a lot of less sure things in this energy, but it is like more so just the introduction to this next life that you're about to unlock, because this is something very different from anything you've ever probably experienced. I'm hearing, where you're going, we don't need roads, which is like a Back to the Future quote. Winnie, Tuck, and Ming Ming too. I wonder pets and will help you. So I feel like you have spiritual guides coming in to assist you in the manifestation, or just like the alchemy of your life, like making sure all the elements are there for the healing and progression to happen, making sure that you actually are in the middle to meet, if it's like an actual person. Winnie, Tuck, and Ming Ming too. Okay, there's a stray cat that just turned on the light to my neighbor's like sensory thing. Be on the lookout for like random networking opportunities or like random people who actually turn out to be like maybe like really cool. Like, you never know who you might bump into and how they might inspire you. So be open to unlikely sources of inspiration. There was even a point in time, I'm pointing at this, I don't know if you can say. Sorry if you can't see, I know my best over here. But there was even a point in time, like a couple months ago, where there was like this documentary series on Netflix about Hitler's Circle of Evil, and I was like obsessed with watching it for a couple of days. Like, I could not like stop watching, because it was super interesting to me. And it's not that I ever want to be like an anti-Semitic overlord, but it is interesting to know like how they came into be, and like, you know, what they did in their roles. And like, I don't know, I feel like you can be inspired by anybody if you choose to be. So I feel like if you're like in a position where you're like, I don't know, like, what the fuck am I, what the fuck do I like, really like go head first into the void here. Like, have these experiences, bump shoulders with people, and figure out what you like and what you don't like, and take that inspiration from wherever you can. Because like, once again, I'm trying to like reinforce this idea within yourself and your mind that like you're not limited in any kind of way in terms of your options. I think that you've struggled to understand that because you haven't manifested all these doorways and portals quite yet. But it's maybe just as simple as you deciding where you want to go so that you can be supported in getting there. Like, there could be a level of indecision for you that stops you from taking all the action that you can to come into alignment with certain timelines. Like, hesitancy to be seen for like who you really are. And this could have to do with like family dynamics, especially if you are someone who had like a prized position in a family, and you feel like you have to like give up being like the shiny one or like the special one to be like maybe someone who's a little bit more inactive or less productive, or disappointing in some kind of way for the ways that your character once again makes you not mainstream, not normal. So what does Lindsay really want from career? The Lovers. Yeah, you want to feel like it's not even really a job, which means you definitely, this is more like purpose driven, which is why all this major arcana is coming out. So if you're really feeling like you're in a pickle right now, it's because you're doing like all the energetic releasing that's necessary in order for you to come into this balance that allows you to attract these like perfect successful experiences that bring you these like long-term yields. But for something that good, you have to put in a lot of work, at least like on an internal level, especially as it relates to like self-control and discipline in times of like lack, scarcity, or waiting. Like, there's probably going to be a lot of times like on this journey when you don't know if you're going to fall or not, and your like faith, trust, and pixie dust is the thing that helps you make sure that you're where you need to be to receive what you need to keep going in terms of like fuel or support from like either the world around you or from your guides. Because the fear blocks it out. The fear blocks out the certainty. So like, choose what you want to believe. You're like coding your simulation here. Like, if like when I decided like at 18 that I was gonna be somebody, it was pretty much stamped as soon as I made that decision that I was going to be somebody, because I'm the kind of person who follows through. So once I set a goal, I get there, even if it takes me a long time, because I know where I'm going and I'm devoted to my purpose. I think with you in the reverse, there could be like maybe a distractibility due to the fact that you're a little insecure in your ability to get to where you want to be. And like, there's a lot of potential like void cards coming out here, where like you probably know that you could be something awesome, but you just can't really envision what that thing is right now. And I totally relate to that, because at first I thought I was going to be like a model, and I was thinking like I was just going to get like scouted at the mall one day, and then I was going to be famous. Like, I didn't know, I knew I was going to be something, I just didn't know what that thing was and how that was going to happen. So I can see that kind of being maybe a bit parallel here. Eventually my guides kind of like got it through my head. They were like, dude, like nothing happens until you kind of make it happen. So then I started to like be open to going out to casting calls. And I actually went and modeled for New York Fashion Week, but when I got my snake tattoo on my arm. So be open to like making choices that open up portals. And tattoos can definitely be like a way to open up a portal. I don't know that you, like maybe you already have tattoos and you want to look at your tattoos and like allow that to inspire some kind of meditation into who you might be. And what your purpose might be. For me, snake, kundalini energy, creative energy, sexual energy on my arms, Gemini, 3rd house energy, which is also my 10th house of my like midheaven. So I'm meant to be in the community around me, causing change and transformation. And maybe even being sexy while doing it. Or like attractive, alluring. That's just to like put it very simply. You know, there's lots of different ways you could choose to interpret snake energy. But like allow yourself the creativity to kind of like choose what you want to devote yourself to in this like night-like energy, because like your masculine expression is like nightly. It's also like lionish, which I relate a lot to this, obviously, like, you know, you're talking to me, but also this is like Leo energy. And again here with the 6 of Wands. So if you ever saw yourself as being someone who is publicly celebrated, then this is confirmation that like, yeah, you can get there. This reminds me of Moana when she has to learn how to sail. Once again, has to like rely on her ancestral support to like assist her in that process, because there is no one in the material world to teach her that, who's willing to teach her that. So she kind of like gets some downloads, some programming. Once again, the Matrix. You might want to watch that movie for some inspiration. That might be inspiring for you in some way. Like when it comes to your personal ability, maybe even like cognitively. Why is strength? What does Lindsay want from career? Ace of Wands in reverse. 4 of Pentacles. You want to hold on to whatever like public respect you have. And I think maybe sometimes you're afraid to start over. But you might need to start over in order to see some of this growth. And be willing to produce from yourself to create the most long-lasting rewards. Like part of the reason why I will probably never be broke again in my life is just because I know how to do this. Like this is one of my trades. Like for as long as I can do this, I will be able to generate money. I've also recently learned how to crochet. So that's another one of my trades that I'd like to like add to my arsenal. Like ways that I can make something out of nothing. You might want to get creative about what those pathways might look like for you. Like, and another one of those that I'm hoping to have is coding. And like, I could be a literal hacker and take on jobs where I'm either programming or breaking down someone else's programming. That's another trade. So whatever it is that you can produce here or are inspired to learn how to produce, just commit to that pathway and understand that whatever like unique self that you're seeing in that trade is worth investing in for the ways that the potential could lead you to long-term success and recognition, in alignment with like perfect opportunities to be seen in like unconventional leadership or unlikely leadership. We have the moon in reverse. Yeah, in some way you might have to like let your freak flag fly, but that's worth it. I think people are going to be attracted to whatever it is you have to offer, even if it is unconventional. But, like, in order for that to happen, you have to prove this devotion. Like I said, this came out in the reverse before. So you're struggling to invest energy towards what would actually be best suited for you. You're reserved against using all your resources, all your skills, because you don't believe in the validity or the worth of all of them. You're not investing in all your ideas, or you're stalling out in that process. I think, like, nothing to be worried about here, because the situation is going to be resolved. Like, this situation is very much being handled and orchestrated by something bigger than you. So if you're on the fence, it feels like that door does open, or you do, like, end up picking where you're going, or you just transition into that next phase after you've manifested something. Like, if you have identified an ideal outcome and it feels like something that your guides can support and get behind, then expect for that to go well. Okay. Later tonight, I'm gonna put on my cat outfit and go in the dark and probably dance. It's the Day of the Dead, and I venerate my ancestors at the cemetery, so I might go dance for the dead tonight. And that's part of me being who I am. Like, there's a lot that goes into me doing this beyond just what you guys see on camera. So, I feel like if in any way, Lindsay, like, you're listening to this and you're like, I kind of feel like a superhero, or like I kind of feel like, you know, I'm built different in some kind of way, don't be afraid to, like, live like that. You know, like, there's no way anybody else is gonna know how built different you are unless you're, like, showing them how built different you are. And it's not like, you might have this mindset of like, oh, well, am I, like, showing off, or am I, like, try-harding? But, like, no, you're not. You're just, like, living your life in the way that you prefer to, and being okay and, like, confident being seen doing that. And that's the thing that makes people, like, want to project that energy on you, like you're doing too much, but in reality they're, like, not doing anything at all. Like, it's better to be the gold shiny one than to not be anything at all, you know? So if anything, stick out and be ridiculed for what makes you awesome. Like, why wouldn't you want that kind of, you know? Anyways, like, accept the hate for being awesome. Because it's gonna come, like, for sure. What are the next best steps to align with what you really want from your career? Two of Cups. Like, definitely be willing to walk away from what doesn't serve you, and be willing to walk towards what does. Even if that doesn't make any sense to anyone else. Like, nobody else can even hear my music when I'm out there, because I'm dancing to stuff in my headphones. So they don't even know, like, how I'm beat and, like, how hard I'm fucking hitting this shit. You know, like, they have no idea. It's just between me and God. So be so okay with having that personal relationship that allows you to take these, like, internal and external journeys without any fear. Because you never know who you might interact with, and it's better to be open at this time to, like, wherever, like, the river bend is taking you. Like Pocahontas, just around the river bend. Like, ideal outcomes could be closer than you might even imagine. Enjoy, like, the view while you travel. Make the most out of, like, even the smaller times. Like today, like, my goal, I wanted to record these readings. Now that after I record this, then I'll be done for, like, my assignment for the day, and then I can make the most of the nighttime hours by going out and dancing for the dead, because I'm not just a light worker. Like, this is definitely light work. I'm also, like, a shadow worker. So it's important for me to, like, maintain that balance for myself. I don't know how relatable this is, but if anything, maybe it could be inspirational. What are the next best steps? Because it's like you're asking about career, right? But I don't think that really whatever was bad, like whatever was like a not a good fit about that career wasn't just as simple as it being a job. It's also maybe about like you aligning further with purpose. And especially if you were in some kind of like job that doesn't at all make you feel like you're working in your purpose. You definitely want to focus on making sure that that purpose itch is scratched. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter where you go. You're always going to like feel that lack of potential being filled. What are the next best steps for Lindsay right now? I almost said Ashley. It's interesting. We have the Hanged Man in reverse and the Ace of Pentacles. So yeah, it doesn't feel like long before you get exactly what you need out of the situation. And it feels like that's a successful outcome and recognition for what your skills are. So if this is like you already applied for something, then like, yeah, they already see you as someone that can help them, can do the job. But do you see yourself as that? And if this is like you moving into a more creative career, like let's say that this isn't like you getting a job, that this is you getting the validation to pursue something more fulfilling, then that's your next step, is like letting that sink in, like really taking that opportunity to be validated for what makes you golden in a way that pulls you out of a stagnant position so that you can like assert yourself in the world as what you are. Like for me, that was when I decided to make my TikTok account and post my little TikTok videos about my readings. That was like 2 years ago. And I had started reading when I was 14 years old. So it was like, it took me for like 5 years to bring it to the world. Not that it has to take that long for you, but that's what that energy looks like to me. Your next best step is understanding where your value is. That's also like some kind of deep internal, maybe spiritual, creative value. And then being willing to bring it out, let people see it so they can like it, and then give you something in return for what they like about it. Coming out of your comfort zone is your next best step. Trying something new. Yeah, like more scythes. Cutting out what's overgrown. I just heard cutting your toenails. What? But that's Pisces energy with feet. Maybe you need to get like a pedicure or something. I don't know. Like for me, I paint my hands and feet very specific colors as a part of my spiritual practice. So like when they get chipped like they are right now, I always make it a point to decide what the next color scheme is going to be and like assign that meaning so that I can work with that meaning in my hands when I'm reading. And then the feet are just kind of like your subconscious mind. So I usually paint those white, like pretty much every time, usually. Unless I'm doing something pretty unique. Should I stay pure? So this could also be like you, like even putting more intention into your, oh my God, holy fuck. That's a lot of aces. Like your energy is so rich. That's the thing. Like that's what I was trying to say. Like whatever you want to do, I think you can do it. Like you're reminding me of myself here with this like Midas touch energy. Where like me, myself, I am the thing. And whatever I do, people are going to be attracted to because it's a representation of me. Like because of the fact that it's me, you know? And you have to decide that you're worth that if you want that. Like, if you want that kind of respect in the world, you have to get up there and kind of, like, wave your stick around. This is masculine energy, but it's based in your feminine strength, which is your confidence in your internal world and the value of that. Like, imagine if you were going to listen to someone's speech and then they didn't sound like they actually, like, you know, even knew what they talked about. Like, you know, if they just sounded like, you know, imagine, like, politicians when you go to their, like, rallies. Like, who do you stay to listen to? The one that you feel like is speaking to you in the way that maybe you would even speak to yourself. So there's, like, a natural, authentic energy that you're meant to be cultivating so that you can embody it and demonstrate it and share it so you can receive from that. Maybe even so that you can get to a place where you're working and gaining from life more passively. So you don't even have to exert as much effort because, once again, you are the value, naturally. Feminine energy. I just heard you are the moment. So, like, yeah, like, I've been going out in the world and dancing on tables at night. And that's, like, good practice for me to just be seen, like, doing what I normally do in my house. I love to dance. I always wanted to be a dancer and take dance classes, but, like, couldn't afford it when I was a kid. So if I had done it then, I probably wouldn't be as nervous when people watch me dance now. And if I want to, like, break through that ice, I kind of have to be willing to be seen doing what I like to do. And that seems like what some of your next best steps are, is working on being willing to be seen and perceived in your value. What else? I hope I not just sound like I'm repeating myself. We have the Two of Pentacles. So yeah, I mentioned, like, balancing maybe two different things at once, and that kind of feels like what could be happening here. Like, you might get like, move into another job and transition into another job, but then all the while maybe you're still developing this other thing that makes you feel more like you, that rewards you for being yourself. And then hopefully, you know, the goal is that will develop into something that gives you a platform to stand on independently, and, like, you're then independently stable. So you're, like, just waiting on that right now. And if not waiting, then, like, developing that opportunity, like developing a way for this coin to passively enter your world. So I'm creating, like, YouTube videos. People can then see them. And then once I have a certain amount of subscribers and a certain amount of views, then I can be paid for what people have seen. And then that will just generate for forever, you know? So this could be you working on building passive income streams from, once again, your authentic value that allow you to just, like, be more at peace and stable in life. Because there's less to prove. Yeah, but there's old ways of being that you have to, like, learn how to let go of, which is what I think your guides are helping you to do. There's, like, a disciplined energy that's required for you when it comes to, like, maybe managing money or just growing it in this more passive way. What might Lindsay have to sacrifice in this energy? Indecision, doubt, fear, anxiety. You got to be able to move forward towards your goals with complete confidence and peace of mind in the fact that they're worth the effort. And also whatever scarcity mindsets you might have. Try to see how, like, you're already blessed whenever you are feeling insecure. Yeah, because it feels like most of what you need to let go of is mental processes that you've already outgrown. Because at this point, they're just limiting. Yeah, like, all this energy is swords. It's all in your head. And then the Ten of Wands. So, yeah, you might have to start over. You might have to give up. The past, like, these last positions are both 10s. So 10-10. We just moved through that portal in October. Like, you're moving into the fall, into some kind of, like, hibernation, where you're going to be doing a lot of thinking about who you are, what you want, and who you want to be known as. Not just now, but also in the future. And how you can start investing in that future vision of yourself right now. And this is all good stuff because it's going to take you some time. And you might even change your mind a couple more times before you get to where you're going to be. But that's why, like, the thumbnail, once again, is, like, this meditation, because I do feel like you're going to find that balance internally. You're not going to really be best suited by going too far outside of yourself to figure out who you want to be. Like, let yourself be inspired by whatever, like, cinema or movies or characters you, like, really resonate with. But also allow yourself creative freedom to, like, fully pick, and don't limit yourself in what's possible just because of how, like, you know, improbable certain pathways to success may be. Like, probability doesn't really matter here when you're, like, really fated for something. So if you see yourself in some kind of really distinguished, elite, luxurious, disciplined energy, like, believe in the value of investing in that timeline, because it exists in your mind for a reason. And, like, right now is the time to bring things out of the mind and into the world, or at least figuring out how you're going to do that in the future. Okay, so what is Lindsay gaining from doing this? The Empress in reverse. So like I said, this is, like, looking like passive income stream. But even if not that, it's also some kind of, like high material world status with the Six of Wands here in the Empress. You becoming someone that people look at and recognize your worth, like, immediately, because it's easy to see. It's been built over time, and it's, like, thoroughbred. Like, if you were a horse, you would be a valuable horse. Good stock. What is Lindsay gaining? Eight of Pentacles in reverse. So yeah, like, whatever stewing you're doing internally makes you a more quality person over the long term. So believe in the value of the stew, even if it is dark and, like, damp and uncomfortable, because you can't really see what's over the river bend, or just around the river bend. And, like, Pocahontas had to, like, pioneer, man. Like, she literally fell in love with John Smith, and then she goes to, like, Europe, and then she's exposed to all these diseases and stuff. So you might, like, need to be willing to, like, pioneer, like, try some new stuff, like, knowing that there's danger involved in that. Like, for me, I'm going out in the night to go dance at the graveyard. Who knows what might happen? That's kind of the fun of it, for me at least. So be willing to, like, do the thing. Try the things. Not knowing how it's going to go. Another situation like this that's not as, like, extreme. My first ever open mic. Because at one point I was like, I want to sing. I've invested in a lot of different timelines, to, like, a lot of different extents, and I picked them up and I put them down at different times because I have an Aquarius Mars. So, like, it's important for me to be able to, like, toggle between my interests. I think that you might be best suited for a very similar kind of thing. Like, freedom here enriches your life experience. I don't know that you're really meant to be stuck in any, like, one spot doing any, like, one thing over and over and over again. That doesn't really seem like you. And if that's what you have been doing, it's just because that's all you've known until now. But this is a time when you're being guided to, like, you know, follow the yellow brick road to, like, Oz kind of thing. Really, like, challenge yourself to go beyond what the average person could ever do. And judgment is here. It's like, this is your calling. You're going to continue to feel like you're not doing enough until you're doing the most. So you may as well not hold back. Because you're going to always feel that, like, unfulfilled potential unless you're fulfilling their potential. Like, for me, I've always kind of felt like a ninja. So I have to, like, give myself opportunities to do ninja stuff. Like, balancing on the curb. Or, like, you know, being really flexible. Making sure that I stay flexible. Like, for me, like, there are just certain, like, muscles that I have to keep flexed. Like, have to keep them strong. And it's important for me. It's a part of, like, the whole of myself that is myself. Like, I can't neglect any portion of this whole without the thing not feeling complete. And I think that you may have been overly investing into like maybe one portion or even like a half or like a 3/4. But then, you know, like it's still important to be aware of the whole, which is why that meditation is important, because I feel like that's when you're going to go and have time to figure out what that value is so that you can celebrate it. Yeah, and then like be rewarded for that. Like whatever you find in that meditation, like the inspiration that you break out of it with, like cuts through the stagnancy and brings you back into functionality. So just rest in it, because I don't know that like there's any more that you can do beyond having faith in the fact that you're coming out where you need to. Invest in the outcomes and timelines that you want to see come into fruition, and then let it go. Don't overthink, don't get anxious, don't be scared. Just go with your move, knowing that you got it. More meditation imagery. Okay, so closing guidance and affirmations to keep trucking. You're okay, like all your power is internal right now. Like it's not so much what you're doing, it's the force you're moving with. And I think you could be changing directions. So if you're not sure, it's because you've never seen this before. Probably. Like this new version of yourself that you're about to be is not one that you might recognize or have ever expected to exist. Okay, closing guidance and affirmations, like I said. I'm hearing the Johnny Test theme song in my head, and I woke up hearing that. The boy's best friend is a talking dog. Johnny Test, Johnny Test. This is the life of a boy named Johnny Test. Johnny Test, Johnny Test. This is the life of a boy named Johnny Test. Alright, affirmations. Let's get like 3 of these. Cool. The dreamer. Affirmation. I pay attention to what my dreams are trying to tell me. I just heard I Wonder by Kanye West. That's a 7, by the way. So very much divinely guided. Another 7! Holy fuck. They're reputable. Affirmation. I live my life as if my guardian angels are watching over me. For sure these. You could be feeling a little alien. That's okay. I wonder if this will also be a 7. If so, go play the lottery. No, it's not a 7. This is the protector, number 39. Affirmation. I respect people's boundaries and require the same from them. You need to protect your own ambitions right now from anyone or anything that doesn't like support them. And then you also need to protect them from yourself and whatever imposter syndrome you might have about what you're worth in life. You have the spectrum, number 51. Affirmation. I root out and reject prejudice in myself and others. So yeah, I think that you could have some kind of internal bias towards your own higher aspirations and like your ability to really get to where you want to be and be who you want to be and fully embody the energy signature that you would assign yourself. If there's something about like your physical vessel that you want to change in some way, you can change that, or at least like change how you feel about that thing. And once again, all of these adjustments are available through like a greater sense of awareness of yourself, and then like the detachment from the current version of self that allows you to understand how to get to the next best version of yourself or your next form, kind of like Dragon Ball Z. Oh my gosh. Okay. 773. 17, which is an 8. So like energy is moving like constantly here. It's another like figure 8 in like the 2 of Pentacles sometimes too. As you're like moving through this energy, as it currently is, you're responsible for like maintaining a balance here that is divine, and that's kind of what you're in charge of protecting. Like, I think there was like a scene in Mulan where they had to like carry buckets of water and like not spill them. Like, it's about the discipline of that action more than it really is about making sure the buckets stay full. It's about you being able to move without dropping the water. Water being that like spiritual energy, that faith, once again, that it's guiding you through this energy. So it's really just important for you to have whatever internal peace you need to stay in alignment, stay in faith, so you can keep hearing these callings, to keep moving impulsively or like spontaneously in that direction that maintains your peace and results in functionality. But you do ultimately gain that, so don't worry about whether or not people can see your quality, because they will if they have eyes, basically. Okay, thank you so much for watching this, and I hope that this brought you all the clarity that you needed. Thank you for trusting me with your energy, and I hope you have a great night or day whenever you're seeing this.